Hey guys, talking about direct object pronouns today, and then we're going to talk about indirect object pronouns. So it's going to be intense. So strap in, focus. Remember that you can pause me, rewind me, whatever you need to do to make sure you get this all, get your notes filled in. Email me if you have questions, but always, if I'm talking too fast in class, you kind of just have to hang in there, but on the videos you can pause me. You can be like, shut up, Dickie, I'm trying to figure this out, and you can pause me, or you can go back if you need to listen to something again. So be aware. We're going to talk about direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns, as I said. Before you can go anywhere with this, you need to know what a direct object is in the sentence. So probably somewhere elementary school, junior high, English class, you learned the parts of speech. You learned what's a verb, what's an adjective, what's a noun, and what's a direct object. You might be thinking, I don't know what you were talking about, but somewhere you probably learned it. The direct object is the part of the sentence that receives the verb, receives the action. So, for example, I like coffee. Coffee is the direct object. I have a phone. Phone's the direct object. I read a book. Book's the direct object. You get it. It receives whatever the verb is. So coffee is receiving my likeage, etc. Likeage, not a word. Okay. You know what it is. Now, why do we have to learn pronouns? The pronouns exist just to make your speech more efficient. So, example, I have a phone. My phone's awesome. My phone has plaid case. My husband gave me my phone for Christmas. My phone has all kinds of apps on it. My phone is an iPhone 5. People call me on my phone all the time. I get so many texts and tweets on my phone because I'm really popular. So basically what's wrong with that whole little speech that I did, other than sounding like I'm stuck up, is that I kept saying my phone. And in normal speech, people don't do that. They say, here's my phone. I really like it. It's an iPhone 5. My husband gave it to me. It has a plaid case. I start saying it because once I've established that I'm talking about my phone, there's no sense to keep saying my phone. So the whole reason the word it exists is just to make your speech shorter and easier. So you don't sound repetitive. So same thing in Spanish. It's exactly the same concept. What are you doing? You're replacing the who or what in the sentence with just short, simple words, pronouns, to make your speech easier, more efficient, faster. Okay, easy. So just like with everything in Spanish, we have to contend with gender and number and who we're talking about. So we have a variety of pronouns that we can use. So if I'm the direct object in the sentence, if I'm saying, for example, he sees me, then the pronoun is me. If you are the direct object, so if I say I see you, then the pronoun is te. Lo is a lot of things. It's you formal if you're male, it's him, and it's it. So in the case of el teléfono, my pronoun is lo. La, kind of the same thing, only feminine. So la is you formal if you're a female, her or it in the case of a feminine noun like la llave would be replaced with la. Nos is for us, so they see us. Nos. Os is vosotros form, so you won't be tested on this, but if you're a completionist, use os. Os is like the plural of te. Okay. Los, you all, or them, and las, you all, or them. And keep in mind that the them can be people, or it can be multiple objects. So las llaves would be las, los chicos becomes los. Okay, moving on. When you have an infinitive, what's an infinitive? What's an infinitive? You guessed it, it's an unconjugated verb. I'm just going to assume that you said it was an unconjugated verb. So when you have an infinitive after a conjugated verb, then the direct object pronoun can go two places. It can go before the conjugated verb, or it can go attached to the infinitive, attached to the verb that's not conjugated. So no voy a hacer la maleta hoy means I'm not going to pack the suitcase today. You can shorten that in two ways. No la voy a hacer hoy, or no voy a hacerla hoy. They mean the same. There's not one that's better than the other. Notice that the components of the sentence are the same. The only thing that happened was this la went all the way from the beginning all the way to the end of the verb phrase. The verb phrase is voy a hacer. So la voy a hacer or voy a hacerla. They're both okay. This was easy, right? Yeah, it was easy. All you have to do is memorize me, te, lo, la, no, sos, los, las. If you only have one verb, you have to put the pronoun in front of the verb. So I see you is te veo. I have it is lo tengo. However, if I have two verbs, I can put my pronoun in front of the conjugated verb, or I can put it attached to the infinitive. Are you ready for indirect? Remember, you can go back and rewatch the direct, you can pause it, you can fill in notes, whatever you need to do to feel like you're getting it, and email me if you do have further questions. So moving on to indirect. Same concept, I'm making my speech more efficient. So I'm taking nouns and I'm replacing them with pronouns just to make things shorter, easier. So the English grammar connection here, indirect objects are nouns that answer the questions to whom or for whom. So a couple things to note about that. To whom or for whom means it's only people. The other thing is it's called indirect because it's sort of like an extension of the direct object. For example, I like coffee, but I could also say I give coffee to her. So coffee is still my direct object, but to her is my indirect object. Okay, so to whom, for whom. To whom am I giving the coffee? To her. Okay. So now you have fewer choices, which is nice, less to memorize. Me is like to me. Te, to you. Le, to him. To her, or to you, formal. So notice there's no gender here. Le is for guys and girls. Nos is to us. Os is to y'alls. And les is to you all, or to them. So remember, les is the more formal one in Spain, but in the rest of the world, les is used for formal and informal. Os is only Spain. So in Spanish, use the indirect object pronoun to accompany the noun it modifies. What's accompany mean? Go with. So that means you can use both together. You can also use it to replace the noun. So you can have an indirect object pronoun by itself, or you can keep the original indirect object noun. With direct objects, you have to replace the noun. If you have the pronoun, you can't also have the noun. With indirect, you can keep both. So if you're accompanying the indirect object noun, you would say, Mamá les da el dinero a José y Ana. You have José y Ana, which are the indirect object, but you also have the pronoun les. Mom gives José and Ana the money. Mamá les da el dinero is just she gives them the money. I'm not saying their names anymore, but the meaning of the sentence is the same. Notice, I can't just have Mamá da el dinero a José y Ana. In Spanish, you have to have that indirect object pronoun if you're saying a sentence like this. So if I'm giving something to someone, if I'm saying something to someone, whatever, I need that indirect object pronoun. So I can keep the nouns and the pronoun, or I can just have the pronoun. Again, infinitive, same deal. When an infinitive follows the conjugated verb, the indirect object pronoun can be placed before the conjugated verb or attached to the infinitive. Le voy a vender mi coche a Sara. I'm going to sell my car to Sara. Or I can shorten it and say le voy a vender mi coche, or voy a venderle mi coche. Same rule as before, same rule as the direct. Le voy before the conjugated verb, or venderle attached to the infinitive. The whole verb phrase is voy a vender. I have to put the le all the way at the beginning of that or all the way at the end of that. I can't put it in the middle. I can't go voy a le vender. No. I have to put it at the beginning or the end. And you kind of just will develop a preference. You can decide if you like it attached because you like making those longer words, or if you think putting it before is easier because when you only have one verb, it's going to go before anyway. So if you could stick to just always before and that's easier for you, that's fine too. So quick summary. Direct and indirect object pronouns, the reason they exist is to make your speech faster, easier. You're replacing nouns with little tiny words called pronouns. You do this in English too. For example, instead of saying, I have a phone, I can say, I have it. Instead of saying, I'm going to give this cup of coffee to Wanda, I can say, I'm going to give it to her. So then I'm using a direct object and an indirect object pronoun. Memorize these. So for direct, memorize lo, la, los, las, in addition to me, te, and nos. With indirect, you're going to memorize me, te, le, nos, os, les. You don't have to remember the os, but you can if you want to be well-rounded. Stay tuned for the next awesome video. Keep it real.